Item number 1 is introduction. In the event of an emergency, the building may be evacuated. You'll be required to vacate the building by the rear entrance and gather at the breezeway between the library and the art gallery buildings. This is Council's designated emergency muster point. Under no circumstances is anyone permitted to re-enter the building until all clear has been given, the area deemed safe by authorised personnel. In the event of an evacuation, a member of Council staff will assist any member of the public with a disability to vacate the building. Item 1.1, apologies. The only apology I know is Councillor Duffy for lateness.
Move it lateness.
Seconder. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We've got Councillor Melanie She's right, I'm honour. We've got Councillor Melanie McDonald attending by Zoom. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Mallard. Seconded by Councillor Power. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 1.2 is live streaming and recording. This council meeting is being live streamed and recorded. By speaking at the council meeting, you agree to be live streamed and recorded. Please ensure that if and when you speak at this council meeting that you ensure that you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Orange City Council accepts no liability for defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during this course of this council meeting. A recording of the council meeting will be made for administrative purposes. Acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of the land. I would also like to pay respect to the elders both past, present of the Wiradjuri nation and extend that respect to other Aboriginal Australians who are present. Item 1.4, any declarations of interest from councillors? Councillor Kinghorn.
Planning and Development Committee, item 2.4, which is 11 Kawula Drive. I declare a non-significant, non-pecuniary for this one though, because it's quite a bit down the street from other people.
Any others?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Yep. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Same thing, Planning Development Committee meeting, item 2.4, 11 Kawula. Non-significant, non-pecuniary. I just live down the road. Thank you.
Councillor Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just item 2.1 of the Planning Development Committee is the applicant's a customer in my business. And that was 2.2. And item 2.1 of the Sports Recreation is I'm a member of the Orange Tigers AFL Club.
Any others? There being no others, I'll move on to the opening prayer, and we welcome Reverend Bob Cameron from the St Barnabas Anglican Church, Orange East, and ask him to lead us in the opening prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. It's my pleasure to do so. Before I do, can I just say I've just returned from 5 days with 3 of my 4 children and 7 grandchildren. And for the first 2 nights, we all had dinner together. And on the third night, we fed the kids early, had our dinner afterwards. And I pray that your meeting will be more like the latter than the former. Let's pray. Almighty God, maker of heaven and earth and ruler over all, we thank you for all who work for this community, our elected officials and those who work in administration. Thank you for the skills and experience with which you have equipped them, for the service they give to the people of this city and region, and for the dedication they bring to their appointed roles. We pray for them today, and especially those who are gathered here tonight in this meeting of council. Give them wisdom and understanding in all the matters that come before them. Help them to make good decisions to the best of their ability in a spirit of cooperation and harmony. Even when they disagree, may they be gracious toward each other, slow to speak and quick to listen. Above all, may they be people of wisdom, integrity, justice and compassion. At this present time, as the current council moves towards completion of its first year, grant each member increasing effectiveness in carrying out their responsibilities, and bless the council as a whole with increasing cohesion. Help our Mayor, Jason, and Deputy Mayor Gerald each to exercise their office with particular wisdom and grace. They will both be models of good governance, as well as providing a helpful lead to their fellow councillors. Help each of these men and women who are at the same time both servants and leaders to provide in their words, decisions and actions an example to the people of Orange that is an encouragement to all and brings honour to you. These things we ask in Jesus' great name. Amen.
Thanks very much, Bob, for that. With no registered speakers, there will be no open forum this evening. No mayoral minutes. I'll move on to item 3, which is confirmation of the ordinary meeting held on Orange City Council on 20th of September. I have a mover and a second. Moved by Councillor Greenhouse, seconded by Councillor Floyd. No speakers. I've got to keep them checking. All in favour? Against? Carried. I'll now adjourn for the conduct of the policy committees, and I call on Councillor Whitten to chair the Planning and Development Policy Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Welcome to the new CWD, man. Well, welcome to the chamber, mate. I would like to open the Planning and Development Committee meeting, 4th of October 2022, with the time being about 25 minutes to 7. Item 1.1, declarations of interest. We've heard that some councillors have some declarations. Councillor Evans, will you be remaining in the room? I know the others.
I'll be leaving the room.
You'll be leaving the room, and that's item 2.1, is it?
2, Mr. Chair.
2.2. Councillor Evans. Righty, item 2.1, items approved under delegated authority. Have a mover?
I'll move, Mr.
So moved by Councillor Hamling, seconded by Councillor Powell. Any discussion on this item? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, show of hands. Against, the motion is carried. Item 2.2, we've got a person, that's right, Councillor Evans is leaving the chamber. Councillor McDonald, if I miss you, please just yell out, please. Thank you. Alrighty, we'll move on to item 2.2, development application DA 2582022, 110 Leadwood Drive. The recommendation is on page 13. I have a mover. It's been moved by Councillor Mallard, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on this item? No discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. We'll get Councillor Evans to return to the chamber. Item 2.2, development application DA 182, 20 Astle Drive. Recommendation is on page 53. Have a mover. Councillor Mallard, move that. Seconder.
Happy to second.
Okay, Councillor Peterson, seconded. Any discussion on this item? No discussion. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. You're all very boring tonight. This is sounds like I'm calling bingo. Item 2.4 is development application.
Move, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Hamling. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Floyd, any discussion on this item? No discussion. I'll put the motion. Councillor Mallard.
Sorry, just a question through you to the Director, Mr. Chair, relating to the submission that was made. I note the neighbouring residents were basically asking about their preference not to have a two-storey residence built next door, and appreciate the staff report that can't be restricted. But I guess I wanted to ask, in the event that a DA comes for that lot that has a two-storey house proposed, what provisions there are that in terms of things like overshadowing and privacy that would go into consideration of that DA?
Two ways a two-storey development, through you, Mr. Chair, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Director.
The two-storey development could either come through a DA, which would have processes where we do consider overshadowing. Eliza Place being north of the site, likely to overshadow it anyway. But back to the actual process, or this complying development. Complying development has less controls around it, so and it's controlled by state legislation, so there's not as much on that one. But if it was a full DA, yes, we do consider certainly providing 4 hours of sunlight to north-facing windows and 3 hours to open space.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any further questions? None? Righty, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. That brings the meeting to a close at around 20 to 7, nice and quickly, and I'll invite Councillor Miletto to do the Employment, Economic and Development Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten. Time being 6:40 p.m, I'll open the Economic Development Policy Committee meeting. Item 1.1, Declaration of Interest. I don't think there was any. If there are any which arise during the discussion, please let us know and we'll record those. We go to item 2.1, minutes of the Sister Cities Committee meeting held on the 10th of August 2022. Councillors, a recommendation on page 5. Have somebody move the recommendation?
Move. Second.
Seconded by Councillor Greenhouse. Is there any discussion in regards to this item? There being none, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Any against? No. I declare the motion carried. Thank you, councillors. That concludes the Employment Economic Development Policy Committee meeting, with the time now being 6:42 p.m, and I call on Councillor Evans to conduct the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting.
Councillor Floyd, you do a few points of clarification on behalf of your neighbour. Yeah.
I couldn't do it with as much pizzazz as what he does, mate.
Thank you, Councillor Miletto. I'll open the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting on the 4th of October, the time being 7:45. Item 1.1, declarations of Adney for this. Item 2.1 is on recommendation, is on page 5. Motion, please. Councillor Greenhouse, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on the items in the recommendation? And I'll put the motion. All in favour? Item 3.2 is current works report on page 31.
I'll second the motion. Chair.
Discussion on the current works report.
I'm just reading about the water supply services, and I know we get this all the time. Faulty meters and things like that. Seems like a lot of burst water mains. Bridge.
I'll take that on notice and get back to you. Yeah. Whether it's significantly more than any of the others.
Any other comments? Councillor Greenhouse.
Just through you, Mr. Chair. I think it's good if we have a look at the chart on page 40. It's good to see our consumption of energy coming down. So I think that's great, and well done to the staff for that effort.
Fantastic, thank you. Any other comments? Being none, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Carried. Thank you, councillors. I'll close the Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting at the time being 7:47. I'll pass on to Councillor Greenhouse to conduct Sports and Rec.
Good evening, councillors. So first of all, congratulations to anyone that is a Panthers fan here on the grand final on the weekend. So I'll now open the Sport and Rec Committee meeting at 6:45. Item 1, declarations of interest. Councillor Evans, you did have one in relation to the AFL. Will you be staying in the chamber?
I'll be leaving the chamber, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to item 2.1, the recommendation.
I'll move the minutes. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Have a seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Floyd. Sorry, yeah, Councillor Floyd. Item 2.1. Well, I'm lost. I'm totally lost. Okay, we're all done. We've got a mover and a seconder. I'll declare it closed. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you, everyone. I'll now close the meeting of the Sport and Rec at 6:47. We're used to having Councillor Duffy pop up with questions.
Councillor Whitten can take over.
You're doing well, Tammy.
The timer off. I said 7.
Councillor Mallard. It's been a long day today.
Similar.
Been a long day already.
Good evening, councillors. I'd like to open the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee meeting on the 4th of October with the time being 6:47 p.m. Declarations of interest. I don't think we had any, but just checking if we have any declarations of pecuniary interest, significant non-pecuniary interest, or significant non-pecuniary interest in any matter listed for consideration at this meeting. There being none, we'll go to item 2.1, net waste regional template, contamination of curbside services engagement letters. There's a recommendation on page 6. I've got Councillor Hamling moved. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Evans, thank you. Is there any discussion on this item?
Obviously, it's an issue that people are
It's not.
working. It's not close enough. Obviously, people aren't putting the right things in their bin, and that's fine, but we do need to do more about educating people because it is confusing, especially with soft plastics and things, and some of them have got recycling things on them, but they're not supposed to go in, and pizza boxes can't go in there because they've got greasy stuff on them. So sometimes people think they're doing the right thing and they're not. So I think we need to educate people more. I'm also curious as to what happens if somebody does get the 4th letter and they lose their service. How long do they have to wait before that can be reinstated?
Get back to you on that one. Take that on notice. Thank you.
Just a question through you as well, Mr. Chair. That's a good point that Councillor Kinghorn raises, because I do know a lot of residents have told me that other people put stuff in their bin. People passing by, or so it's could turn into a problem. Rise.
And so, yeah, just a comment, because it is becoming more confusing, because like even the toothpaste tubes now have the recycling thing on them as well. So more and more companies are moving towards that. So I think it is time to go back, Francis, to the community and re-educate them on what can and can't go in the box.
Thanks. Is there any other discussion on the item? There being none, I'll put the motion then. All in favour? Anyone against? Declare the motion carried. Which brings us to item 2.2, additional waste and recycling services over the Christmas and New Year period. There's a recommendation on page 16. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this? Moved Councillor Floyd, seconded Councillor Duffy. Do I have any speakers on?
Just a question. It's to go out for 28 days from memory, isn't it? 28. Going out on submission.
So the recommendation as it is to note the report and promote the existing opportunities. However, if you wanted to do something different, then that's another matter.
Yep. So the answer appears to be no at this point.
No.
It's not going on exhibition.
Thank you.
Yep, Councillor Peterson, thanks.
I'm going to speak in favour of the recommendation and note the comments about the skip bins in areas of CBD and the fear of, basically vandalism and fire risk. Wouldn't really want to see a flaming skip bin in the middle of Kite Street, even though I think it's a nice idea in theory. Definitely speaking in favour of the motion as it.
Thanks, Councillor Peterson.
I think the making sure that everyone knows about the $2 ticket service, because most people have got an extra bin. So, for $2 to get that collected, I don't think that's a exorbitant cost. So just making sure that we know, people know, that residents know that you can get that $2 ticket, especially over the Christmas period.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just want to speak briefly in support of the motion as well, and thank the staff for the report explaining the pros and cons of the different options that were being considered. I do think, the idea of additional recycling services, I could see it not working out, and I actually think there's potential for this to be solved more at the local neighbourhood level than at the council level. I'd really encourage people, if they think they're going to have extra recycling, to talk to their neighbours, because it's quite possible there are going to be people going away. There could be bins that they could work out with their neighbour to put stuff out, make use of the extra space. It could be a way for the community to sort this out themselves, basically, in some ways, I suspect. We don't appear to have any other speakers, so I'll put the motion.
Just a point of
Councillor Milano.
clarification. Hypothetically, I was to go away and want to maybe bin to somebody else to throw rubbish in, myself.
Hypothetically, as long as it's outside your house, there would be no issue with that.
You might be able to charge them $4.
Can I just have a question as well?
Yep.
So those tickets, do they have to purchase them in a minimum book of 5, or is there any minimum, or are we just going to have people coming down just to purchase one ticket for $2, or how does that work?
There's a book. I understood it was you can purchase one or a book.
Thanks. The speakers. Then I'll put the motion. All in favour? Anyone against? Motion's carried. Which brings us to item 2.3, the bulky waste service review. There's a recommendation for this one on page 20. Do I have a mover and a seconder for this? Moved by Councillor Evans, seconded by the Mayor. Any speakers? Councillor Kinghorn.
Thank you. When we visited this previously, and I asked for it to be deferred, it was on the understanding that it would be investigated the option to keep the payment for everybody and to have a no-cost pickup. That's not what this is. This is essentially the same as what it was before, except that the price is lower. So I'm just wondering what happened to the option of there's no option on there for people to continue to pay their $11 or $11.95 and then have...
This is, for clarification, this is purely a recommendation from the report writer. If council chooses to keep the bulky waste pickup service, I understand from discussions with J.R. Richards that we would still be able to avail ourselves of the user pay system as well at the lower rate, at the discounted rate, albeit it would have to be advertised for 28 days and then it would form part of our fees and charges.
So the $11.95 stays?
It does if you move an amendment to the existing recommendation.
Okay, so with what's there now, it goes. That's
The current
that's what I read.
recommendation that's
Yeah,
up.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So you can,
If it stayed, 16,838 payments, that equates to 2,080 pickups, or about 43 a week over a 48-week period. Or even if you kept it at the 1160 that it is now, without putting it up, you'd still get 42 collections a week over 48 weeks. I think that something like this, well, I'm normally a fan of user pays, I think that there is actually benefit to the community and everybody paying a little bit, so that even at $96, I realise that's a lot less than the original 220, but still probably out of reach for some people, especially in lower socioeconomic areas, who might then not be able to utilise the service, and then there's an increased risk of illegal dumping. So I think that we probably do need to, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I would quite like to have the option of keeping the payment and having a no charge. And you could do, if it was 40 a week, you could cap it every week so that you didn't run out at the end of the year, and then just monitor it and see what happened.
Are you moving that as an amendment?
I think so, yeah, I think I will. I think that's just what happens in other places. You just ring up and do it, and you don't have to pay. It's already paid for. Everyone does their bit. Especially if you keep it the same, then it's not going up at all. It's $11.60 a year.
can I just clarify? That's not the option that's been investigated, and that's not available on discussions with J.R. Richards. J.R. Richards did choose to drop their user pay service one down, but the $11 camp per resident is a campaign that's run over 1 month only. It's not run at 40 services a week.
But if they can do it for this $96 and everybody pays this money, then there's that much in the pool to cover that service.
So just to clarify with yourself, you're moving that we increase the payment for all ratepayers to $96 a week, $96 a year.
No, because part of this is removing the $11.95 that people currently pay. If that doesn't get removed, then everybody pays their $11.95 or the $11.60 that they're currently paying. But if it's $11.95, then if 16,838 ratepayers pay that, that is a kitty then of $201,214, which equates to 2,080 pickups, which is 43 a week over 48 weeks. So if they can afford to do it for $96 instead of the $220 that they originally quoted, then why can't this money just be used to fund that?
On that basis, I'd ask that Council defer, and I'll come back with that option fully explored.
That's what I thought you were doing last time.
Okay, so to clarify, I understood the amendment you were proposing as being that we would retain the February pick up for everybody and that charge in the rates. No. So you're not moving that as an amendment?
No, because the original...
We run with status quo.
The original goal, when I asked for it to be deferred and looked at, was to have an as-needed thing so that we don't look like a rubbish tip for a month. And the fact that everybody pays a small amount, I think that actually there is community benefit in that rather than having the user pay system. So I think it should be a user pay system funded by all contribution by every ratepayer.
Can I just ask a question?
Yep.
I agree that low socioeconomic people may not be able to afford the user pay, but say I'm as a ratepayer, I haven't cashed in on that, and I'm the next person after we've used the amount of drops or pickups that we can have. Well, it's just tough luck, Tammy. You can't have yours picked up. You're going to have to pay additional because we've met the quota for the year.
That's why I thought it should be capped at a weekly thing and just monitored.
The option is you'll need to adjust the
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm not hearing much of anything at the moment.
My fault. Councillor McDonald, I was away from the microphone. Apologies.
All right.
Okay, so is that fine? I mean, last time there was an issue with deferring it because it made a difference to the rates notices. So they were concerned about deferring it even last time. So this will be deferring it again to do what I thought I was asking for last time.
The issue I have, which isn't explored in this briefing, is exactly what Councillor Greenhouse just brought up. You'll note in the body of the report, in the supporting information, that 45% of residents chose to avail themselves of the February bulky waste pickup program. Under the proposal that you're talking about now, that the existing $11.95 that's collected out of rates per resident would equate to around 2,000 services, where last time around we delivered a service to nearly half of the population, or half of the 17,000 customers. So we delivered a service to 8,500 people. This would be limited at 2,000 people under that proposal.
I understand that. My response to that would be that it's on, people find something to put out because they can. It doesn't necessarily mean that they want to, and they may not have the 2 square metres of stuff. So if it was done less often, I think the numbers probably would go down. But
Mr. Chair, can I just ask a quick question?
Yep.
Is Councillor Kinghorn saying we still have the bulky waste pickup at a particular time, or the bulky waste pickup is put outside by residents at any time and then ringing the contractor to pick up?
yeah, the second one. Yeah, so scrub the February one. Haven't got crap
my
on
question?
outside everyone's houses for.
So we have to talk to the waste operator, because that's something different, isn't it?
It's different to what's been proposed here, and
Yeah.
the concerns that some of the councillors have raised here tonight are valid.
I think we need, get deferral and a briefing session, and with some results back from J.R. Richards is probably the way to go for this one, but you can.
Yep, I'm just trying to check where we're at procedurally because we had an amendment moved.
Okay, so I can change that to deferring it for more discussion.
But we suggested that we
just would really like to get it right.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the amendment now. Sorry, Councillor Duffy.
No, I'm quite happy to support the amendment to defer. I think I'm going to go with status quo when it comes back, because there's number one, driving around the city up through Glenroy and all these areas here, there's already rubbish already out there, and I think putting the burden straight onto the actual ratepayer, to the collector, probably not going to be very successful. Whereas we as a council, we're here to provide services, and this is Shyaking one of our services. And I'm quite happy to support the deferral.
Thanks, Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, so I can see there are some problems with the bulky waste collection. For $11, it seems like pretty good value compared to $95 otherwise. I wouldn't want to lose the service. I'm happy for it to be deferred, but just wanted to ask the director through you, Mr. Chair, if we defer it to November with February as the scheduled pickup, will that be a problem that they'll run out of time, or should that not be an issue?
We'll continue to plan for the status quo, so it won't be an issue. Just for a procedural process, now that's been changed for deferment, Councillor Evans seconded that original amendment. You're still happy to second that? Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Miletto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Look, I'd just like to thank council staff who picked up some bulky waste from out on Lone Pine Avenue on the creek there. I was on past there the other day and I noticed there was large car tyres, one mattress, one TV and two bins which are still there, a yellow bin and a green bin. They remain there, but my concern and it was brought to my attention that rubbish, those bulky waste items, were right on the fence, and I'm not sure whether any were thrown into the creek catchment area there, but certainly people good enough bins out which have serial numbers on them by who they're issued to in the. Thank you for the council staff for going out there and how somebody leaves a mattress and that beside the road and 3 large tyres, colour TV, I'll never know, but they were at different locations. So thank for those people being irresponsible.
Thank you, Councillor Miletto. Do I have any other speakers? No. Then in that case, we have the amendment to the original motion proposes to defer this matter. I'll put the amendment. All in favour? Anyone against? Carried. So the amendment becomes the motion. I will now put the motion. All in favour? Anyone against? Carried. Thank you. And thank you, councillors. That concludes the environmental sustainability. Yep, Councillor Whitten.
I just had some people in town visiting over the long weekend who thought our city was beautiful. They went out the Pinnacle. Now, I'm not quite sure if the Pinnacle, bits of it come under us and probably under Cabon. There are no bins out there anywhere. So there's a lot of rubbish all the way up the track and all over the sort of Pinnacle area they were specifically in. So I'm just wondering through you, Mr. Chairman, find out one, why we don't have any bins, if it's under our jurisdiction or not, or if we could advise our colleagues at Cabon.
I think Director Hodges is going to address this one.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the Pinnacle itself is owned by us. It's right on the edge of our shire, so we'll have that looked at. Both one to clean it up and to have a look whether we need bins into the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director, Mr. Chairman.
Miletto.
Thank you. A good idea for people to consider putting their rubbish in their cars and taking it to a bin rather than just throwing it on the.
I think they were pointing out the fact that other people weren't doing that, Councillor Miletto, because it was very messy out there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillors, that concludes the Environmental Sustainability Policy Committee meeting with the time being 7:07. I'll call on Councillor Duffy to conduct the Finance Policy Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Mallard, and I will declare the Finance Policy Committee open at 7:10. And first item on the agenda is 2.1, but first of all, do we have any declaration of pecuniary interest, significant and non-pecuniary interests, less than significant pecuniary interests? Being none, we'll move on to item 2.1, which is the small donations and grants applications.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr. Chair. I'll move the whole recommendation, Mr. Chair.
I'll second it as well, Mr. Chair.
Second, moved by Councillor Hamling, seconded by Councillor Whitten. Any discussion? I just want to make a quick comment on, especially on the first one. I think it's absolutely fantastic that we are supporting that. I think, especially the language of our own people in the area, I think it's pretty good. Anyway, no further discussion. I'm going to put that motion. All those in favour, raise your right arm. Unanimous. We move on to item 2. Might be it.
Yep. See you later.
Yep.
Time's up.
The Finance Policy meeting closed at 7:11. What's some petrol at that?
2.0. See you later.
Is that my phone or yours?
Mine.
Is it okay for me to chair from here?
Oh, if you don't mind, I know other chairs have tried to chair on Zoom. Councillor McDonald, would you like me to chair it, or are you happy? It's just that you can't see the room.
I'm all good to go. I can see the room. I can see the room better than you can see me. Hands.
Okay, whatever you'd like to do, Councillor McDonald, all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll open the Services Policy Committee meeting at 7:09. Alrighty. Any councillors with pecuniary interests, less than significant pecuniary interests, and non-significant, or whatever order that came in? Nope. Excellent. Alrighty. First item is item 2.1, minutes of the Ageing and Access Community Committee meeting on the 9th of August. Recommendation is on page 6. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Floyd, seconded by Councillor Evans. Any discussion? Oh, excellent. I'll put the motion then. All those in favour, raise either arm. Excellent. Anyone against? No. Thank you, Councillor Floyd, for the 2 arms. Only 1 vote though. Item 2.2, minutes of the Community Safety and Crime Prevention Committee meeting of the 22nd of August. Recommendation is on page 27, and I'm after a mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Miletto, seconded by Councillor Peterson. Any discussion on this? Nope. Alrighty, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, raise an arm. Excellent. Anyone against? Okie dokie. Motion is carried. Item 2.3, minutes of the NAIDOC Week Committee meeting of the 1st of September. Recommendation is on page 53. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved. Seconded by Councillor Whitten. Thank you. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, just want to, there is a pretty action-packed program for NAIDOC Week coming up, so I'd like to, we're going to probably get that out to most of the councillors very soon. There is a lot of things on for that week, so anything that the councillors can attend would be sensational. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alrighty, any other discussion? Thank you, Councillor Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, there is an action-packed. One of the good things about this, I think COVID was good because we've had more people pull in relation to getting their tickets for the NAIDOC ball. We've actually extended. We've already sold 280 tickets, so an extra 10 tables are ready to rock and roll. So I just want to say a big congratulations to all of those community members. They really have pulled together for 2022 to pull together a great program, and also working closely with Orange City Council too. So really excited about this year's event and what's it looking like too. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councillor Power. If there's no other discussion, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Excellent. No one against. The motion is carried. Item 3.1 is the projected maintenance costs report. Recommendation on page 101. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Hamling, seconded by Councillor Greenhalgh. Any discussion on this? Nope. I did just want to say something.
Councillor Peterson as well, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. Councillor Peterson, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Just curious, some of the maintenance items seem to be capital equipment such as mowers and wicket rollers and top brush and the like. Can those things be potentially funded from the money that's been allocated for stadium building, or is this something that needs to be found separate by council in the future?
Chair, my understanding is that the equipment purchase will be a mix of a range of options for those costs, including there will be some that is funded through the regular turnover of equipment. There will be some that's potentially part of project cost, and any capital would come back to council.
Excellent. Thank you. And any other discussion before I have my little rant?
Mel, I might, if that's okay, through you.
Yep.
So just probably a question again to the director. Obviously, with all new capital infrastructure things that we build in our community, like a planetarium, for example, and the gallery and all those sorts of things, there's always going to be increased costing around that. Is the stadium any different to the running cost, for example, of the aquatic centre and so forth? Are you able to elaborate on that a little bit to help us new councillors understand?
I'd have to take that on notice.
Okay, thank you.
Any other sorry, Councillor Miletto.
Thank you, Acting Director. And I'm just wondering, was there any consideration given to a super sopper that during the winter months in Orange there was a lot of games lost, football games, because the fields were too wet. There was a lot of water laying on the fields, on the pitches, and the players couldn't get on. Whilst it does appear to dry up overnight, there was probably an opportunity for some of those events to go ahead had we have had a roller or a super sopper, which you see in other areas. Expansion of the sporting precinct out there, and I thought it may be a good idea to consider purchasing one. Water. Normally, you'd see in a sporting precinct the fields would be domed, but for some reason in Orange they're flat. Subsoil, which is under obviously doesn't allow for big drainage. I'm just wondering whether we could think in the future, consider perhaps purchasing a suitable sopper which would drain the water from the fields and can be dispersed in one of those large drains and recycled.
Yeah, thank you again. We'll have to take that on notice.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't know whether you'll have an answer to this either from me. So back in June, I moved a motion asking for, I don't know whether this reports in response to that motion I put back in June, but the director's not here, so I'll just kind of hope that it is, and we'll take it on notice. It's just, it seems, if indeed this is in response to that motion, it seems it's lacking a lot of information, a lot of detail. And like in terms of like meeting the costs for things, it refers to leasing lease fees for office space. Now I'm assuming that office space is in the stadium, but when it gets built, given that it's going to be the last thing that gets built, if at all, is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding. Yes.
Okay. All right. I might just flick the director all my questions and stuff rather than putting you in the hot seat tonight. Thank you. All righty. Any other discussion on this item? All righty. In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Excellent. Anyone against? Okie dokie. Thanks. That concludes the Services Policy Committee meeting, with the time being 7:17. And I'll hand back to Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Duffy, waving.
My question is probably to the director. In previous years, we've had a lot of issue with parks and gardens not being mowed early enough, and I did notice that we've got another 5 days or six days of rains, and you look at Wyari Circuit Reserve, you look at Newman Park, and you look at all these things, and I'm just wondering where we have enough equipment and staff to actually stay on top of it, because I remember the International Gardens in Mansion Park were really this high last year and previous years. So I just wonder whether we're going to be in control of that situation.
Through the chair, my understanding is that the issue with the grass is very much about the weather more than the equipment or personnel, but I'll take that back to the director on notice as well.
Councillor McDonald, Councillor Miletto wants to ask.
Sorry, just a matter arising. And just following on from the concerned councillor's comments about the length of the grass, I note that this time of year, bindies are starting to. I'm just wondering steps the council take to stop those bindies. Do they get sprayed or whatever? Because I noticed that when the weather starts to heat up, numerous people approach me and say that they can't run around and enjoy the feel of grass under their feet. Bindies and starting to grow now, and with the amount of rain we've had, I'm just wondering what steps council are taking, any, prevent this explosion of bindies based on the amount of rain that we've had in our main parks, etc.
Take that and get back to you on that one too.
Thank you, Dokie. Any other matters arising? Alrighty. Services Policy Committee meetings closing at 7:20, and I'll hand back to Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. I'll move on to notices of motion. Notice of motion 4.1.
I'll move the motion, Mr. Mayor.
And I'll second it. Thank you, Councillor Whitten. Councillor Whitten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Recently, or in the last council, I moved a motion for council to investigate looking at possibility of having a register of AEDs in the community. And recently we had Greg Page visit Orange. He's the founder of Heart of a Nation and once was a Yellow Wiggle. The motion here is that council support the Heart of a Nation in their drive to have a publicly available AEDs in the community, and that council staff provide a report on strategies to broaden the awareness of installation of AEDs in Orange. Greg went through with us, the Mayor, myself and the CEO, to give us a brief on what his organisation and what he is doing. And their goal is to have residents have AEDs in their community. And he was saying for the cost of several cups of coffee, the community can get together in their neighbourhoods and get an AED, which they then can use an app from this application as well that residents can register on as a provider or just to be registered on the app, so that if they suffer an event or someone that's nearby them suffers an event, they can quickly see what AEDs are in the vicinity of their location instantly. Part 2 of the app is to also have smart devices like watches that will monitor the individuals themselves and their heart rate if they suffer an event or they fall over. Those residents in the community who are on the app will get notified that there's somebody nearby them that needs assistance. One of the things that council were looking at, or the ways that councils are getting involved in these initiatives, is that we can provide locations for them to put the AEDs in the community. So I think it's a great initiative. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to the website and have a look and see what Greg is doing. But certainly some of the stories that we heard about those people who have been lucky enough to be near an AED when they suffer a heart attack, there's some 80% of, if 80% of people will suffer a heart attack in their home. And if you speak to a doctor, doctors will tell you that the only place to have a heart attack is in a hospital. And because if you don't have access to someone who knows CPR or with an AED, those two assets alone really increase your survivability. And we heard from Greg, we heard from a gentleman from Orange Lions? Yeah.
Orange City.
Orange City, sorry.
Thanks.
Orange City, who just happened to be refereeing a game, suffered a heart attack at the field, and Orange City had an AED close by. And the other thing that he was grateful for, that the team that they were playing against was
Ursu, medical students.
Medical students. So I hope that councillors will support this initiative. It's just to get a report back so we can consider. It's not for council to go out and buy all of these things. Certainly we would be responsible for our facilities, but certainly it's to encourage the community to get involved and look at putting these in their neighbourhood.
Councillor Peterson.
Yeah, certainly speak in support of it, and just to say that yes, doctor with many years emergency experience, I've seen many people die of a cardiac arrest. Very few who survived. All had AEDs before they came to hospital. I don't think of a single one who didn't otherwise.
Any other speakers? Councillor Miletto.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, I certainly support the recommendation. I guess my only query was around the word support. Or was whether that was financial or what do you mean?
I think it will be, Councillor Mayor, it will be all of those things. There will be financial support for facilities that this council chooses to put AEDs in, should we agree. But I think it'll be subject to the CEO's report when they bring it back to give us an idea of what the cost of those things will be and running campaigns to educate the community about getting involved. Yeah.
Thank you, because clear conflict of interest. Role as president of the Football Association, we did have an AED out there, actually one on either side, east and west of Jack Bradman. One on the western side lasted about 2 weeks before someone had a good idea to borrow it and never brought it back. So, like you say, Councillor, there's an opportunity to provide education and obviously where these are going to be located needs.
Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. This is an actual no-brainer. I think it's going to cost us nothing to come back with a report. I think over the years I've known a number of people have heart attacks in various different sports, touch football, whatever the case may be. We've had people die from it. I mean, luckily, the case that you're talking about, the gentleman survived. So I think when the time comes, that's when we probably need to talk turkey with the sporting clubs and various different organisations. I have every faith in the CHAR staff to bring back a decent report.
Councillor Greenhalgh.
Thank you, Councillor Whitten, for bringing this forward. Look, and it's not only for heart attack patients as well. Knowing firsthand, you know, when there's accidents at parks and water and stuff like that, we were fortunate enough when my son had an accident, there was an AED available. And just knowing where those are, I think, is so important. So places like the lakes and things like that, I think it is so important that we have those there because accidents do happen. We were also fortunate enough that another lady that was a school teacher that had lost her own child also had an AED there. So I think there definitely is room in our community to improve the awareness of these and how to use them. And, you know, I declare an interest with our junior football club. We did go out and purchase one after that happened as well.
Any other speakers?
Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment too. I think we do have a number of defibrillators, AEDs around our council properties. I know there's one at the lake and there's one just down here at the bottom. I just want to make comment about, I understand where the coach, Orange City coach was, he was saved by a defibrillator being out at Waratahs. The other week, I understand there was some damage done to Orange City's grandstand and the defibrillator was part of that damage. I would like to see if anyone's caught messing around with a defibrillator or damaging a defibrillator or stealing a defibrillator, I'd like to see the full laws of the court come down on. I think it's disgraceful. I think these were young kids from what I understand. So I suppose a session with the former coach of Orange City who life was saved by one of these things could be one of the punishments for these children, just to hear his story. I don't think they'd touch one again. Did you want to say anything else, Councillor?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think it's really, one of the things Greg was saying is that there is already a lot of AEDs in the community, and this application will give those organisations the ability to register their AEDs on the app so that people instantly know where they are. And
colour. They want to do the colour, have the same colour.
There's a standard for an Australian standard of green and white for everything. He's changed. He's applied to have that changed to red and yellow for AED locations. But and the other thing is too that the app can actually track these devices. So should they be misplaced, you can find where they are, unless they've been destroyed, of course. But I think peer pressure will soon come to bear when people know that these things are a good thing to damage these devices.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Unanimous. I'll move on to item 4.2, which is notice of motion of snake awareness.
Mr Mayor. Happy to second it, Mr Mayor.
It's Councillor Duffy. Very quick.
Thank you.
I'm listening.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and Councillor Duffy. I'd just like to put forward this notice of motion by use of the council website. Firstly, to display information on common snakes found in the Orange and surrounding area. List the following contact details of snake catchers and affiliated bodies in the Orange area, first aid treatment for snake bite, and emergency contact details in case of snake bite, and rules and regulations around proper snake handling and welfare. And secondly, to distribute similar snake information to the public in any other cost-effective manner possible. And the background's fairly straightforward with this. Yeah. We're into a fairly bad snake season, I think, coming up in the next couple of years with the flooding and the rains we've had, coupled with mice plagues. Snakes are pretty much everywhere, and the flooding certainly is bringing them out of what would normally be their homes in the lower areas. So they're crawling up into the townships. You just see it all over the place. So social media at the moment is alight with snake sightings. Areas all over the place in every town. We're just getting snakes coming in everywhere. So I think this is in the best interest of council, just to make people aware of what's going on. Maybe help them identify a snake. And certainly another thing which always irks me is snake handling. You quite often see people saying, oh yeah, we either bludgeoned this poor thing to death or whatever. I'm a big snake fan. I love snakes. I think they're great. So I'd like to see proper snake handling methods brought out other than a shovel. So I certainly think that it's time we got some information out about how to look out for snakes, what to look for, keep our pets and our kids safe.
Thanks, Councillor Floyd. Councillor Peterson.
Happy to speak in support of the motion. Certainly there's brown snakes being sighted on the farm where I live at the moment. I agree with the staff comment, though, saying that it probably is a little bit out of council lane to update information about snakes and first aid and such things. Providing the links to those services suggested there seems like a cost-effective and useful way to support this resolution.
Councillor Powell.
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor. I really do support this here. I think it's something that is quite beneficial to Orange. If just may digress here, today I had the privilege of actually having a couple of families of Americans through, and they were talking about snakes, and then all they could say was, they're really deadly, ain't they? And I said, yes, they can be really dangerous. And so having this sort of information actually is a good education tool too, but also as what Councillor Glenn Floyd said, that instead of taking the shovel, I'm a black fella and I'll take the shovel, but that's me. On that same note, that in Queensland we did it through the for the stingers. A lot of people were getting stung, but now they have the big signs of stingers, but then you have the actual safety side, the information. Grew up around stingers all my life, and a lot of times tourists would come through but not knowing, but then a bit more was stung. But now you've got those safety information messages out there, all the information, and also that the aspect of making sure that people that do travel there are safe. So I definitely support and thank him for this motion.
Councillor Miletto.
Councillor for the notice of motion. Councillors consider Department of Education or schools, because probably a cost-effective way of educating especially our youth about the dangers of snakes. Probably through education, through the school system. I'm not sure whether it's included in their curriculum or not. Logical way of creating awareness. Council could write, perhaps suggest.
Would you like to put that as a part 3 that we write to?
Certainly put that in, yeah. That is what item 2 there sort of said, any other way in a cost-effective manner, and that's that certainly would be fine.
Happy to add that. The seconder, so Duffy, you happy to add that? Yep. Okay. Do you want to speak, Councillor Duffy?
Mr Mayor,
Thought you might.
I just want to make a quick smoke. It's a quick smart comment, but a quick comment about one of the things I think we should be looking at too is that I've noticed over previous years on walkways, because if the grass is long, it's just usually sitting inside there waiting to sun themselves out a little bit there. I've had a number of parents ring me up and say, hey, listen, down along Lowndes wetlands and down along these areas here. So that's one of the contribution. As for the snakes, well, if they attack me or to pinch me eggs or do something, mate, I've got news for them.
Thanks, Councillor Duffy. I might stop you there. Councillor Kinghorn.
Just furthering to what Councillor Duffy just said, if we are going to put something on the signage in locations around the lands and whatever where there are snakes, then having a QR code with the appropriate first aid might be handy.
Well, we can. Councillor Whitten.
And the
Yeah,
other
AED
really
locations.
important.
Councillor Kinghorn, sorry.
Yeah. One of the major things with snakes is to identify what they are, right? Especially if you're bitten. When you're getting medical attention, you've got to understand which snake has bitten you, right? A lot of people think that they're brown snakes, but all of the south of Orange is all copperheads. All the browns are on the northern side. So all of the tiger snakes are near water.
And over near my place, hopefully they're pythons.
Yeah, they're probably rat eaters, yeah. So and snakes are deaf, so children are really susceptible because they tread lightly on the ground. The snake can't feel the vibrations, so they're on top of them, right? They can only see up to a metre, so they can't see very well, and they're deaf. So if you're a child and you step on one, generally children who are bitten, yeah, or silly people who try and pick them up.
Get, I think I'm just going to hide away.
Councillor Evans.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I apologise to the council for I also am one of those shovel people. With the right education, maybe I won't be, but I'm just wondering when we do our compile all our information, a lot of these snakes are going to be coming into people's backyards with their cats and their dogs and whatnot. If we can also just ensure when we compile that information, it's first aid for not only humans but also animals and stuff, and how to restrain them and make sure the blood or the venom's not going through them so quick.
I think there's a array of ideas that the staff can take away from that discussion, especially the QR code business. I think that's a good first aid. Councillor Floyd, do you want to close the debate and say anything else, or are you happy?
No, that's all good. Thank you, everyone.
I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. I'll move on to general reports, 5.1, which is register of disclosures. Moved by Councillor Duffy.
Second that, Mr.
Seconded by Councillor Whitten. Any discussion? There being no discussion, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Carried. 5.2, which is update on our standing and completed resolutions of council, including questions taken on notice, matters arising, and notices of motion. Moved by Councillor Mallard, a seconder. By Councillor Power. Any discussion? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just after a bit of background information. On the first page of the outstanding actions, the fourth line down, the motion by former Mayor Kidd and Councillor Miletto regarding changing the number of councillors. I was just wondering if, I mean, it might be an offline discussion, but I'm just wondering what the background was on that.
Through the chair, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Miletto has stated that he's seconded it for discussion at the time and was passed by the council at that time. You'd have to speak to ex-Councillor Kidd as to what the background was. But yeah, there's a number of variations of councillor numbers from anywhere I've seen as low as 7 up to 15. So we sit around 12.
Okay, so does it need to be on the list? I suppose it does because it was a previous being passed.
It's a resolution of council.
Okay, so it's just going to sit there until we do something about it?
It'll have to be something that comes back to this council, won't there, the director?
Yeah, I'll ask the director to respond.
Through you, Mr Chair, that's exactly right. So we will be penning a paper to Council, as we need to do under our Local Government Act in regards to the numbers of councillors, which enables you to make a decision if you'd like to increase or decrease the number of councillors, particularly as we move forward to the next election.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think the motion was to reduce the numbers, correct?
Correct.
9. Yep. Any other questions, Councillor McDonald? No. Councillor Peterson.
One question on the sort of completed actions register. On 19th of April, we had a question about getting some information of benchmarking council fees. I think in August there was planned to have a bit of a paper about how they compare to other councils. I haven't heard that yet, so I'm hoping that can be put onto the register for follow-up.
Thank you. Will be.
Any other? Councillor Floyd.
Yeah, just a very quick one on page 39, going back to the notice of motion that I put forward on the 2nd of the 8th this year. I've noticed now that the link has been created for the mental health awareness page on the council website. I'd just like to thank the council staff concerned in that matter for getting that up and going. I've had a look at it. It's got some direct links to the Western New South Wales Primary Health Network, the PHN, which is really good. It's got some great information in there, and my personal thanks to everyone involved in getting that up and going. Thank you, Mr.
Councillor Floyd. Other speakers? I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Unanimous. 5.3, which is welcome to summer, Orange Aquatic Centre. Yay. Welcome to summer.
Bit of move it.
Councillor Mallard, seconder. Councillor Greenhalgh, any speakers? There being no speakers, I'll put the motion. All in favour? Against? Unanimous. We'll move into closed meeting. The Chief Executive Officer will advise the Council if any written submissions have been received relating to any item advertised for consideration by closed meeting of Orange City Council.
Thank you, Chair. There have been no written submissions received.
In accordance with the Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2005, in the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer, the following business is of a kind as referred to in Section 10A, Bracket 2 of the Act, and should be dealt with in a confidential session of the Council meeting closed to the press and public. The following items are classified confidential under the provision of Section 10A, Bracket 2 of the Local Government Act 1993, which permits the meeting to be closed to the public for business relating to the following sections. 6.1 Submissions, Redactions, 4th of October 2022. Section Bracket E, information that would be, if disclosed, prejudice the maintenance of law.